Let me, preliminarily, we have an overflow room, I believe. Is that true? Okay, so there is the overflow room for people who can't find seats. We have gotten the agreement of the chairman and the secretary. These are preliminary to any opening statements. To stay till 1 o'clock, we will probably have some votes. We will maximize our time. Let me say, remind the members, Chairman Bernanke will be before this committee next week for the Humphrey Hawkins hearings on the economy. Members are obviously free to raise anything they want. It is my hope that we would focus today on these very important questions of the financial regulation. I know there are members who want to review what happened with past earnings and what we do going forward. I personally believe the best use of the committee's time would be to focus on those structural questions and regulatory questions today. We will have the chairman before us for 3 more hours next week to talk about the economy and Humphrey Hawkins. And I would urge members to do that. All the members are free, as we know, to bring up whatever they want. But that would be our hope, because I did note some of the members of the committee had asked previously for a hearing to look into what happened with Bear Stearns, and I had said at the time that I thought that was very important. I believed it was best to do that in this broader context. Members are certainly encouraged if that's they want to get into it, because there is the experience regarding Bear Stearns is clearly the context in which much of this hearing is, and much of what we will be talking about is what happens if that should recur. So those are the parameters. Given the importance of this and given the interest in members in speaking, we are going to hold pretty firmly to the 5-minute rule. And obviously we're not going to bang it totally at 5 minutes, but no question can be put after the 5 minutes. We'll allow the answers to conclude. But I'm going to have to restrain myself and others from putting any questions after the 5 minutes. Under the rules that apply when we have cabinet and cabinet-level officials, there are 2 opening statements on each side. The chairs and ranking members of the appropriate subcommittees. In this case, it seems to me clear that it is the Financial Institutions Subcommittee that is the relevant subcommittee. So that is where we will. That is how we will proceed. And the official part of the hearing will now begin, and I will recognize myself for 5 minutes, and a fairly strict 5 minutes. When I was about to become chairman of this committee in 2006, I was told by a wide range of people that our agenda should be that of further deregulating. I was told that the excess regulation in America from Sarbanes-Oxley and other factors was putting American investment companies and financial institutions at a competitive disadvantage, and that people much prefer the softer touch of the Financial Services Authority to the harshness of the American regulatory structure. Things have changed. Where there was a strong argument as recently as November of 2006 that we had been over-regulating the financial system, I believe the evidence is now clear that we are in one of the most serious economic troubles that we have seen recently, because in part of an inadequacy of regulation. Clearly that has been the case with regard to the subprime mortgages, but what's been striking is not simply that we had the problems with the subprime mortgages, but that those problems infected so much of the financial system, including, I must say, many in Europe. One of the things, though, that I do take away from that set of conversations, and it's a fairly clear one, is that what we do, and I believe there is a consensus now among people in the administration, among many of us in Congress, among people in the financial industry, that an increase in regulation is required. It must be done sensibly. It must be market sensitive. But I believe we have seen a significant shift from the notion that the most important issue was to deregulate further to one recognizing the need for more sensible regulation, but more regulation. It is clear that this needs to be done in the context of international cooperation. And I am encouraged to believe, and the first trip this committee took when I became chairman was to Belgium and London to meet with people from the European Union and Great Britain in terms of their financial regulation. This needs to be done with international cooperation, and I think the prospects of that are very good. I think there is a broad international recognition that some form of increased regulation is necessary. And the form that we're talking about is regulation of risk-taking outside the very narrowly defined commercial banking. Innovation is very important. An innovation that has brought a great deal of benefit last few decades is securitization. Securitization replaces the lender-borrower relationship and the discipline that you got in the lender-borrower relationship. And a very large part of our problem is that we have not yet found sufficient replacements for the discipline of a lender not lending to a borrower unless the lender is sure that the borrower will be able to repay. Something that simple caused problems in subprime, and it has caused problems elsewhere. We have had too many loans made without sufficient attention to whether or not the loans could be repaid. And what we now have is a contagion, because people, having bought loans in various forms that they shouldn't have bought, they are now resistant to buying things that they should buy. That is why I believe regulation, properly done, regulation of risk that is too unconstrained today, because the various risk management techniques that were supposed to replace the lender-borrower relationship have not been successful. Diversification and quantitative models and the rating agencies, we have not yet replaced them. Some form of regulatory authority is necessary. Done right, a market-sensitive regulatory authority not only prevents some of the problems, but is pro-market, because we have investors now who are unwilling to invest even in things they should. Many of our nonprofit institutions and our state and local governments have been the victims of this. So our job, I believe, is, and I congratulate the officials of this administration for having done a good job in the current legal context of dealing with these problems. Our job is to look at what happened, to look at what is now going on, and to decide what should be done to provide a better statutory framework for the increase in regulation that I believe people agree should happen. The gentleman from Alabama.